What's up, it's cinemashogun here, and we have ourselves a an extremely juicy Gypsy Rose update. And even though I've been calling a lot of this stuff out, even I thought this story was fake. Now, as most of you should know, if you live in America, I don't know do people celebrate April Fool's Day in other countries? I don't know, but here in America, yesterday was April Fool's Day. So, as someone that covers the news, you kind of have to be hesitant because everyone's throwing April Fool's jokes and fake news stories out there. And this story came across about Gypsy Rose. Well, there's actually two Gypsy Rose situations happening right now. There's this OnlyFans account that people think belongs to Gypsy Rose, and people are sharing this screenshot all over the internet. As far as I can tell, this is fake. I don't think Gypsy Rose has joined OnlyFans yet. I'm sure it's coming. Give it a couple of months, okay? Everyone just needs to relax. What? She's only been out of jail, 2 or 3 months? Got out in December? Give her some time. I'm sure she'll join OnlyFans. But another news story came out, and I was looking like, I don't know if I can believe this one. Because the optics on this one are just so horrible. But as you all know, Gypsy Rose, not that long ago, she announced that she's splitting up with her husband, Ryan, okay? Well, now she has been spotted with her ex-fiancé, Ken. And this is just 2 or 3 days after she announced that her and her husband are splitting up. They're not divorced yet. And to put this in perspective, she just got out of jail, like I said, a few months ago. These two have only spent a couple of months together, right? And I know that news stories come at us fast, and the world just keeps on spinning, and it's hard to keep up with things. But it was only 2.5 weeks ago that they were pretending to be pregnant and going to the hospital, and Ryan was taking pictures talking about "I love my family" while holding her stomach and stuff on Instagram, doing stuff for attention, for clout. That was just 2 weeks ago. Here we are 2 weeks later. Gypsy has announced that she's splitting up with her husband after doing 15 different talk shows with the dude, right? She announced that she's splitting up with her husband, and now she's spotted out with her ex-fiancé, who she was engaged to in prison as well. And they're out getting matching tattoos together. And I mean, we are tuned in. What we're watching right now is what I would call the Gypsy Rose show, right? As I've reported to you all before, they're filming a reality show right now about her life. And we're kind of witnessing all of these different storylines transpire in real time. And as I watch all of this unfold, I can't help but feel like in Gypsy's mind, right? She's like the director and producer of her own reality show. And all of these other people that are popping up, they're just characters in the Gypsy Rose show. Characters that she uses for plot lines and stories, and then she kicks them to the curb and throws them away like an old toy. The problem is, these people are real people with real feelings. But Gypsy, being the manipulator that she is, I don't think she cares. I honestly think that, and I'm left with no choice but to think this because of her actions. I think that she almost views men as useful tools that she can use, and just have at her disposal whenever she wants to. Just how we're not even going to go into what happened with her mom. We all know the story. There's no need to rehash it. But we know how that went. And now we have another person, Ryan, who has been brought into the Gypsy Rose story. He was used for a couple of months. Basically, like I said before, Ryan was a glorified ride home from prison. Ryan was basically used so Gypsy didn't have to parole out straight home with her mom. She could go somewhere else, and I guess, not with her mom, sorry, with her family. So she could go, live her life, do whatever, and basically she's done with that. Kick Ryan to the curb, I'm going to go home with family, and now Ken's back in the mix immediately. He's immediately back in the mix. Now, a lot of people out there are naive, right? But let's be real. We know how, I was going to say we know how women operate, but we know how men operate as well. We know how people operate. If Ken is here getting matching tattoos with Gypsy 2 or 3 days after she announces her split from her husband, that means that her and Ken have been in communication the whole time. This isn't I split up from Ryan and all of a sudden he swoops in like a knight in shining armor and they get matching tattoos the very day. No, she's been in communication with him. I'm sure the entire time that she was married to Ryan and the entire time that she was on the outside of jail living with Ryan and doing her little press tour or whatever. But before I go any further, because I will rant forever, let's go ahead and dive into this article. It's out with the old and in with the new for Gypsy Rose Blanchard. And by that, we mean she's gone back to her former fiancé. This after calling things off with her hubby. Eyewitnesses say that Gypsy and the guy she was previously engaged to while in prison, a man named Ken Urker, linked up this week, hit Sailor Bob's tattoo shop in Cut Off LA Monday, not far from where Gypsy, in LA, that's Louisiana, I believe, not far from where Gypsy's dad resides. There's a picture circulating that shows Ken in one of the tattoo chairs with Gypsy sitting by his side and watching him getting inked. And now we know they got matching tattoos. We're told they popped into the shop around 3 p.m. with a clear idea in mind for what they wanted done. They already had the clear idea in mind about what tattoos they wanted because all of this stuff was premeditated. These discussions were being had probably while she was laying right next to Ryan. But let's go forward. Oh, God. These tattoos were meant to symbolize their strong bond. Okay, they have a strong bond. I thought, she was married to someone else, but okay. We're told the tattoo artist inked one husky on one person's right arm and another on the other person's left arm. So when Gypsy and Ken put their arms together, the huskies face each other. Sources say it was a very simple tattoo with no shading, but Ken paid for both. We're told that Gypsy and Ken didn't really show any PDA while getting inked, but it would appear that they're together, or at the very least, they're very friendly. There's notable history between Gypsy and Ken. Ken reached out to Gypsy after watching her HBO doc while she was in prison. Their connection deepened after a few visits from Ken, and he soon popped the question in October 2018. They had an on-off relationship while Gypsy was in prison, but Gypsy ultimately moved on and tied the knot with Ryan in July 2022 while still in prison. Of course, since then, things have fizzled out. While the dust settles between Gypsy and Ryan, she seems to have Ken to lean on. The dust hasn't even been kicked up yet. As the dust settles between Gypsy and Ryan, the dust hasn't even been kicked up yet. And she's already with Ken. But, I mean, at this point, moving forward, we can't allow ourselves to be surprised by any of this. I told you all from day one that it was going to be a complete show, and it has been thus far. And I would assume that it's only going to get worse from here because it seems like this is just snowballing downhill. But one thing that, as I've told you all before, I want you all to keep in mind, a reality show is being filmed. So you may see all of this bizarre, all of this questionable stuff happening, all of this juicy stuff, if you will, like her dining out with exes the day after she announces her split with her husband. You may see all of this stuff unfold, but just remember that we have a master manipulator at the center of all this, who literally has a dedicated camera crew from Lifetime that is documenting her life. And she can fool you by saying, oh, I'm going to delete social media. I don't want to be a star. I don't want to be famous. I don't think any of that is true. I think, like I said earlier in the video, we're watching the Gypsy Rose show. The only question is, how willing are the other participants in this show? Because thus far, it looks to me like that they don't really know what they're getting themselves into. You know what I mean? It looks like they're kind of being used, chewed up, spit out, on to the next. But we'll see. We'll just watch as this plays out. I'm sure we're not hearing the last of this. I would assume that it's going to get worse. But hey, let's all be positive. Maybe this guy is the right guy for Gypsy. Maybe Ryan wasn't the right guy. Who knows what in the hell is going on anymore. Let me know your thoughts, though, down in the comments below. While you're down there, if you would like to donate to the channel, you could do so via Cash App or Super Thanks, or for free. You could help the channel by sharing the video, liking, and subscribing. But with that being said, I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one.